Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Atrocious. You can also call me Jake, and today we've got an exciting 3-on-3 match of the National University One Piece trading card game OP06 ST13 tournament. This is the height of this meta, as I think just the week after EBO1 released. And in this 3v3, this is probably, I would say, the more obscure 3v3 matchup that we've seen in the couple videos that we've created so far on this. The red team being Katakuri, Red Yellow Sabo, and Gecko Moria, and then the blue team being Yamato, Moria, and Sakazuki. This will be the first time that we've seen teams either have the Red Yellow Sabo or the Green Yellow Yamato, and as those are two of my three favorite decks, I feel like, in the OP06 ST13 meta, I'm very excited. And so before we go into this game, just want to make it clear that this is not my content or stream that we're going to be watching. We're just going to provide some unique commentary over this, trying to learn a little bit about the meta. If you want to watch the official stream, you can click the link in the description below. I'll have that there for you. But let's get into the game. We are going to watch the Red Yellow Sabo. Yes, I love this deck. I think it's so much fun. I think it's so cool. I'm so excited to watch this. But the thing about Red Yellow Sabo is I do have to look at the ST13 cards because it features several ST13 cards that I don't know as well as OP06 cards. So what are they doing with their leader over there? What the heck? But it looks like the Gecko Moria is, oh no, they're doing the rock, paper, scissors right now in this one. So we'll see exactly who goes first in that. I think maybe the going first markers were left from the last round that we showcased here on the channel. So we'll see exactly how this goes. Should be an exciting match. The Moria versus Sabo. I'm excited for it. First time we've ever showcased the Red Yellow Sabo deck on the channel, and the last time we showcased a unique deck for the first time on the channel, it ended up winning. So hoping that we get a 2 streak going on right here. Here we go. The Moria was going first. It's just going to be a draw and pass. No turn 1 Sindri in hand. So 2 Dawn now and a draw pass, drawing that Rush Treasure Cruise Luffy. So 3 Dawn now. Wouldn't surprise me to attach 1, swing, and then use leader effect, which is what they're doing to trash a couple cards. Going to be trashing that Absalom, something that you can grab, but a couple of options now. I'm going to be pivoting and drawing that Perona. So that Perona is going to use the secondary effect of forcing your opponent to trash a card from their hand. And so they're going to be trashing a Rush Zoro and taking that life right there. They're going to be grabbing no Kiku, a very, very good card, and also drawing that 5-cost ace. So they've got that little 2-cost baby ace and then have the 5-cost guy, so could be good for them. And so that 5k swing right there through leader, going to be a 6k counter in terms of pitching that Sabo and then playing down the Okiku. The Okiku could be good with that on KO effect, but you got to be taking some life first before that happens. So could thwart that very quickly, I would think. So going to be thinking about what they want to do. The Moria leader could do some shenanigans, that Absalom there in that trash we saw earlier. And so starting off by swinging 5, going to be a Neko Mamushi counter just right there. And so going to go ahead and use Great Eruption, draw a card, and -2 that Okiku, and then the Absalom off of the leader effect, right, could KO that Okiku and prevent it from using that life effect. The leader effect, after trashing the cards, will be able to play that Absalom, and so all you got to do is just put 2 back into your deck. Could be that Sabo and Great Eruption. So we'll see exactly what they pitch. They're also pitching that Rob Lucci, going to be trashing a brand new and a Sabo. Going to, again, like I mentioned, play that Absalom, put 2 cards from their trash into their deck. It's going to be that Great Eruption and a Sabo to KO that Okiku. And because they have not taken a single life yet from the Moria, that Okiku on KO effect is not going to proc. And so taking that next life, it's going to be a baby Luffy, I think. They've got two little babies in their hand, one Luffy and one Ace. So at 2 life left now, we'll see exactly what happens. That leader effect is just a ×1 your turn activate main. So going to first be swinging 6 at this Perona. And so with that leader effect, they've got to find a 7,000 power or more character to put at the top of your life. And so we'll see exactly where they want to go. Thinking about maybe playing that Ace down. It is a 5 cost character. And since they're at less life than 2 or less life, they will gain rush and swing that 7 to take a life, and then use leader effect to put him up there in the life, kind of like protecting him in a sense. You gain a life essentially. So now going into, what is this, 2, 4, 6, 7 Dawn now, 7 Dawn turn for the Moria. Thinking about kind of what they want to do at this point. You could play like the Kuzan, and you could just kind of do things a little bit slower. I don't know if you're necessarily worried yet so much for the like blockers to need to be heavily played, but the Kuzan could provide some value in getting some guys off the field later. So starting off with the Absalom swing, you could counter out of it real quick if you wanted to, but I'm not sure if they will. At this point, they might just take it to get that Ace back in hand, but maybe try to keep that Ace in life for the little baby Ace, since it would be the top card of their life. So countering out with that Satori, that 6k swing now coming down, could be that Luffy that gets countered, that promo Luffy. And so using that leader effect to pitch a card, get that Perona, discarding a card from the opponent's hand and trashing 2 more cards. This is getting a little dicey here for the Sabo player. Just not a lot of stuff going on in hand at this point. And so really you could pitch the Zoro and then counter out with the Luffy. That would guarantee that the Ace stays in hand, because they don't have another way to play. I guess they could play another Perona. You don't exactly have hand knowledge like we do. So going to be pitching off the Perona effect, the Zoro, and then using that Luffy promo right there. And so now putting down the Kuzan, going to be drawing a card out of that. It's going to be a brand new. And so now we go into the Sabo's turn. So the Sabo now going up to 8, going to draw Satori, 2k counter at least. Probably going to be playing that Portgas D Ace baby card, and that's exactly what he's going to use. Use that activate main, play that Sabo down, and give a 2k boost until the end of your opponent's turn to the leader. So now the red yellow Sabo leader is a 7,000 power body, and so swinging that Ace now, it's going to be a 7,000 power swing because you're at 2 or less life. Now you're in a position to where you could actually activate main to put the Ace back in your life at this point. And so Dr. Hogback is going to be the life on the Moria, swinging, what is that, 8 now? Now doing an 8k swing at the Moria. I'm going to be taking another life, going down to 2 now. That's a Suru. Going to be playing that Rush Luffy here and going to be using leader effect to put Ace up top, swinging the Luffy now at life. That's going to be a 6k swing from the Luffy. So you could just use a real quick 2k counter off the Suru if you wanted. And interestingly enough, they didn't decide to put the Luffy up top. So one of the things with the Luffy, it's very similar to the Ace, except it just says instead of Ace, grab a Luffy, right? So very interesting that instead of putting the Ace in the life, they put the Luffy in life, because then the Luffy could be use the next turn in combo with the little baby Luffy, but maybe you're saving the little baby Luffy because you expect to go down to like a 0 card hand next turn, right? We know they play that 4-drop Perona, which could pitch a card, and then the Satori, right, is a 2k counter that probably could be pitched. So really interesting spot for the Sabo player. Really cool that they're able to cycle and kind of add life and use these characters to continuously go down on life again to be able to use these extra effects, but it could go down fast because they don't have a lot of cards that they're drawing right now. Really going to need that like 3 brothers bond event card potentially, and maybe some help off of the life. So still considering this swing, what they're going to do, the 6k swing, thinking about either taking it or countering out of it. It could be at Absalom. I'm not 100% sure where exactly this is going, but either way, whether it's Absalom or the leader, could just be a 2k counter right here. You do have that Subaru there, although it's your only 2k counter, I believe, in hand at this point. So could get a little dicey next turn, but I think you're pretty confident about getting rid of this Luffy at least because of the Kuzan is staying alive in here. So that's the really easy -4, but really deciding what they want to do now. I think it's going to end up being that Subaru, and it looks like, what are they pitching? So they're deciding to pitch a lot of cards. Why did they pitch so many cards? It was just a 6k swing, right? Did I miss something? Maybe they just did extra pitching? Because you can technically pitch off of counter as many cards as you want, right? So if you feel like you don't want the brand new in your hand, I'm confused what happened there. I don't know why the Luffy, who is just 6k, got so much power. But anyways, moving on into the Moria's turn right there. If you know the explanation of why they pitched those 3 cards, let me know down in the comments below. Going to be swinging the Kuzan 5k at, well, actually it really doesn't matter where they swing it because the leader is a 7k body. So really just using the -4 on the Luffy there. And so thinking about what they want to do with the rest of their Dawn, they do have that 8-drop Moria, so could use Rob Lucci to KO it if they want. And I think maybe that's what they're going to do. Going to play that 8-drop right there. Maybe pitching the brand new to just try to use the brand new, right? Use the brand new for the on play, but they already had a brand new in trash, so I'm not 100% sure why. So getting rid of the Perona, using the brand new effect to grab Great Eruption, and now going to be using Rob Lucci effect to KO the Luffy and figure out what exactly they want to put it back at the bottom of their deck. So going to put that 8-drop there, going to put the 4-drop Perona, and also thinking about the 3rd card, it's going to be a Kuzan, putting those at the bottom of the deck now. Getting rid of that Luffy, like I mentioned. So it'd be interesting if they didn't like play any more Dawn to like, or really do any more swings to like get the ace out. And it looks like they are just going to do that. They're just going to leave that ace there, say, all right, 2-card hand, dude, good luck. And so they do top deck a Rush Zoro, which is really, really nice. The ace leader goes back to 5,000 power, and the Luffy actually wouldn't work anyways now that I think about it, because the Sabo says that it has to be a character with 7,000 power or higher. So if you were able to commit a Dawn to the Luffy, then you would have been able to do that, but there wasn't any Dawn left. So actually putting the ace back up there to gain a life, I think was actually more the correct place. So gonna start out by swinging the 8,000 power Sabo leader into somewhere, maybe life, I think at this point. So thinking about what they want to pitch, their hand is dwindling down just a bit. Only 1K counters in hand, so they'd have to pitch their entire hand if they wanted to stop this swing. So thinking about what they want right here, they've got 7 Dawn left, so can't play both the Zoro and the Satori. That would be 8 Dawn in total. So just going to be taking that life right there, going to be putting the brand new in hand, playing that Zoro, maybe putting the rest of the 4 Dawn onto him. Just going to put 3 and swing another 8. Maybe trying to feint like a radical beam or an L Thor even, I guess, or a guard point or something like that. But either way, with this AK swing, they're going to be thinking about either pitching 3 cards or taking this final life. And so looking more towards pitching the 3, they could do 2 brand news and the Dr. Hogback or Absalom. I'm not sure what that middle card is. It looks like an Absalom actually. So going to be pitching those right there. I don't think you're too worried about the Zoro. The crazy thing about this though is that unless you start putting blockers down on the field, if you start swinging at life, you know that they're going to get that ace rush guy, right? So that ace rush guy is going to put a lot of pressure on you. So you definitely need to get rid of the Zoro, right? But also, you need to be able to put a blocker on the field. So going to be taking that life right there. It's going to be a Rebecca, and with the 8,000 power on the Sabo, they're going to use leader effect to put that Zoro back in life. And so no characters to boost as well. 4 characters remain. That's 2 rush characters that they can play down next turn. So the 5K swing right here, I think you're like, yeah, go ahead, Zoro. Put the Zoro in hand. The downside is that you know that your first 2 life are not going to help you at all in counter power. So it wouldn't even surprise me at this point if you countered the 1K Luffy. I don't know if you counter the 2K Satori. But here's another position, right? If the thing that you don't want to happen is take like the Zoro life and the Ace life, and those be your only 2 cards in hand, and then all of a sudden they play Perona and you have to trash one of those 2 cards, right? You want to try to put yourself in a position to where you're going to have both of those cards in your hand. So going to be taking that Zoro right there. I think at this point they're going to take most, if not all of their life at this point and save the Satori for probably a Perona play, because that is definitely viable at this point. They've got a really good sized hand right now. They could honestly play Rebecca, block her up, but then also grab her Perona and play that raw as well. So it'll be curious to see what they do. They don't have the 8 cost Moria, so going to be taking that life. It's going to be Ace. They only have to worry about 3 more swings. So 3 more swings is where this actually gets a little tough, because there is a world where they could actually win it. And so going to be swinging 7 now at life. And especially because they're swinging just the 7 with the Rob Lucci, I think you're feeling pretty good about the brand new not getting the win. That's going to be a Garp as well off of that life. That Garp right there is a 1K counter. It's going to be taking that Satori off that 9K swing. So now they're doing the math. They could win potentially right here if they go 13 swing. I think they're trying to do the math to see if it's worth it at this point. If you get the 13 swing off the brand new, you win. But if you don't, and maybe that rad beam right there, I think maybe they're really accounting for the rad beam. I think really they're accounting. I think that leaving that 1 Dawn was such a good play, because it really just made your opponent think. Like, all right, are you going to play Rebecca and Sabo? Playing Rebecca and Sabo would actually be really good, because that would be 2 blockers that can just really get around like the potential 3 swings that they have, right? And they have to commit 8 Dawn for those 3 swings. They could put the ace and the Zorro back up, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really tough for this Sabo, but there is a world potentially where they can do it. But it's all dependent on what you try to do right here. I think definitely if you go the safe route, you put out the double blockers in the Sabo and the Rebecca. I think that makes it really, really difficult for your opponent to win the next turn. But honestly, at this point, if you go 13, you could just win. But with that one done, you do have to account for that, and you do have to think about, okay, what is the possibility? And they're just going to swing 13. It is going to be the game because we did know that 2 of their cards were quote unquote dead cards, but it got really, really close there. If they had done that, if they were able to get out of that, it would have been really, really good. And now we move into the Sakazuki and Moria game. So looking at this one, looks like it's going to be Moria's turn. 1 life left, 1 blocker. So I think maybe the Sabo was played this turn. If the Sabo was played this turn, you've got a really tough position unless you have some sort of rush, and it looks like they don't. They're just going to scoop in this one. The Sakazuki takes that game as well, and it looks like that side on the right is at least going to win 2-1. We saw 2 wins right there, and they are going to move on to the next round of the bracket. Very cool game overall. I wish we could have seen the red-yellow Sabo win, but you know what? That'll just have to be for another day. Thank you so much for watching. Let's take a look at what the next game is going to be overall. And it looks like the next game that we're going to watch is Sakazuki versus Moira, which is definitely one that you want to practice if you are getting ready for the OP06 meta. So that was actually all of the games in the first round. So we've got 2 more, 3 in total coming at you soon for the rest of this tournament. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Jake, or Atrocious. You can call me whichever one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.